Hey guys, I'm back. It is Thursday. You're about to start writing your compare and contrast mini essays on the characters you have chosen that you really feel like you connected to in Sharon Creech's Walk to Moons. Now, a lot of times what today's lesson was focused on, since we had shortened periods, I wanted to bring back up a video that we've watched earlier in the year. And the link is right down below. It's a brain pop. It's about the 5-paragraph essay. What I've noticed about your writing is that when you just shut up and do it, you're good. Your writing is quality. Writing is actually not that hard. It's not that difficult to process. Okay? Now, is it difficult to get good? Yes. Even some famous published authors, I don't think are very good authors. I don't think they're very good writers. Their ideas are great, and that's why their books sell. But some of them aren't even very good writers. It takes a lot of practice to get a really good, solid skill with the 6+1 traits of writing. But the actual act of writing itself, I don't think is that hard. And I don't think your experience is that it's that hard. Sometimes we overthink. Here's what I mean by this. I gave you this example. 2 + 2. Everybody can answer that. It's 4. Right? Little kids can answer that. It's 4. Now, even if I was adding 1,456,245 plus 3,798,444, the process is still the same. Sure, it gets more complex because the numbers that we're using are more complex, but the formula for doing it is still the same. Writing is the same way. Sure, as we get more extended, or as what we're writing about gets more complicated, the process gets harder. And the content kind of makes the process a little bit more tricky. The process does still remain the same. What you need to do when you're writing is just what Tim does in that video down below that I gave you the link for. You set up with what you want to talk about in your introduction. You craft what's called a thesis statement. We've talked about this many times throughout the course of the year. A thesis statement is your topic plus what you want to prove or explore. Now, as we've been exploring this year, we realize that we've had to move on from some of our childish tendencies, the way we learn things, and move into how they're actually used in the real world. Just like we know that author's purpose is not just PIE, persuade, inform, and entertain anymore. It's directly linked to the main idea and the message you want to get across to the reader. Well, we've been talking about thesis statements all year. What's locked up in your topic plus what you want to prove or explore? Your main idea. So really, all you're trying to do with your thesis statement and then your subsequent, which means following, introduction, is you just want to set up what you're going to talk about. And no, you are not saying, "Hi, my name is, and I'm going to tell you about..." No. I get why your teachers used to do that. They wanted to teach you the concept of an introduction. I am going to tell you about. Well, if you look around, no authors use that anymore as they get to be older, as they get to be professionals. You don't read that in a magazine and a newspaper, right? Because 95% of what's written out there, and that's not a direct statistical fact, I'm guessing, that because of the amount of magazines and newspapers that are published, informational and opinion-based text, what's called argument text in the New Common Core, or argument writing or positional writing, that's 95% of what's out there. And you don't have authors saying, "Hi, my name is, I'm going to tell you about." No, we know what your name is. It's right there on the top. If we choose to commit that to our memory, we will. Really what we're after is the information. What are you actually going to talk about? So your teacher said, "I am going to tell you about," to get you involved in the concept. Well, now we know that writers don't do that anymore, so we have to find a way to do that without actually saying, "Hi, my name is, I'm going to tell you about." Now with these essays that you're writing, I don't have mine directly in front of me. Wait, yes I do. In my compare essay, I write, even though Gramps and I are quite far apart in age, we both tend to have similar approaches to our lives. Topic, me and Gramps. Gramps and I, if you will. Okay? What do I want to prove? That we have similar approaches to our lives. We are similar. It's not actually that difficult. You could have crafted that same statement about whatever character you had. There's a difference, but what I want to talk about is my similarities. Well, you didn't have to say, "What I'm going to talk about is," because it's right there. It's clear as day. As you go through, you're going to prove that thesis. We live in a prove-it society. What do you love to say when somebody tells a story? Nuh-uh, no you didn't. What you're really saying is prove it. One of the things that's happening on the internet right now, when somebody makes a claim, okay, whether it's through Facebook, Twitter, whatever, it doesn't matter. Some people will reply with pics or it didn't happen, pictures, photos or it didn't happen, pics or it didn't happen. What you're saying is prove it. Well, that's what your reader wants you to do. That's what you want somebody to do when they're telling a story or when they make a claim. You want them to do that for you when you're speaking to them. They want you to do the same thing for them when you're writing. Now, you go through this process of specific support to uphold your thesis, what you want to say. And then it all comes full circle, and you restate all of that stuff that you just said in a conclusion. But we talked about this today. I know why your teachers in the past said, as you can see, it is clear that, in conclusion. But people don't write that anymore. When you get up to the older levels, when you get up to professional writing, people don't use that anymore. It was to let you know as a student that that's what you were supposed to be doing in that paragraph at the end. See, your readers aren't stupid, and they don't like to get called stupid. In conclusion, oh, duh, is that your conclusion? You mean that last paragraph that's on the page? I know what a conclusion is. You don't have to tell me in conclusion. Right? Some people will say that in a speech to let you know that they're getting ready to wrap it up because you don't have it directly in front of you. But when you've got it directly in front of you, you don't need to write in conclusion. They know it's your conclusion. It's the last thing you're writing. Also, it is clear that, as you can see, what you're really saying is, well, here, dum-dum, if you were reading, you would have known that. You're obviously not trying to say that, but oftentimes when your reader reads something and they feel like they're being hit over the head with something, they feel like you think that they're dumb. And what do they want to do? Stop reading. Or ignore you the next time you have something to say, if they're already done reading it the first time. So what we want to make sure we're doing is we want to make sure we've got some sort of fluency, we've got transitions, and we're not being super obvious about what we're saying. The obvious stories in life are rarely the most exciting. There are ones that transition and flow nicely to the point where you're so engrossed, involved, engaged with the story that you don't even realize the time has passed. Have you noticed that the best movies you watch, the movie's over and you go, oh my gosh, it's over already? It feels like you've been sitting there for 2 hours. That's the mark of a really great, really well-developed, well-organized, well-transitioned movie. The same is true of your writing. See, we get overwhelmed sometimes. We say, I've got so much to write, I've got so much to do, I've got so much of this, I've got so much. It's the same formula. Adding one-digit numbers is the same as adding 7-digit numbers, like we did earlier. It's just that the process takes a little bit longer and there's more to it. The process is the same, it just takes longer because of how involved the parts are. That's something I want you to remember. A thesis statement sets up your whole essay. It's a formula. I've got a thesis. I lay out what my topic is, what I'm going to prove. Then I set to work proving it. Then at the end, I recall everything I just proved. All you have to do is rework that original thesis statement, reword it, to start your conclusion. And now that you've proven all that stuff that you set out to prove, it's very clear to your audience. And they can read that final thing, be reminded of what they just read, and move on from there. That's what you're going to be doing in these 2 mini essays that you're writing. They're going to be about 15 sentences, probably a little bit more each if you're being really thorough and leading your reader through. But all they should do is explore what you wrote in your thesis statement. You've already connected to the character. You've already done the work. Now it's just time for you to explain it. I don't want you to get overwhelmed here. You're taking this topic. You're establishing the topic for your reader. You're supporting that point, that thesis that you've established already. And you're good. Don't think too hard about it. Put a lot of effort into it, but remember that it's the same as if you're writing a 5-sentence paragraph, because really, what we want are topic sentences at the beginning of each paragraph that have to be proven, which is what you're doing for the whole thesis of the whole story. Right? It makes sense. It's just lengthening it. lengthening it, like with that addition problem that I gave you in the beginning. One last thing, and it's about transitions. It's about improving that fluency so that your reader barely even knows what's going on, or not, I shouldn't say what's going on, but that they're spending all this time thinking and reading because it's so smooth. I'm going to read you the last sentence of my first body paragraph and the first sentence of my second body paragraph in my compare essay. You can see it on yesterday's post. Okay? Oh, and I promised that I would post this on today's because I couldn't get it to post, the picture to post yesterday. I'm going to read you these and see what I do to transition. The last sentence of the first body paragraph. This is similar to when I was sick in the hospital and knew that sometimes my visitors needed to smile even if I was feeling down. Here's the first of the next paragraph. We are not always completely unselfish, though, and we can both be very stubborn. Do you see what I did just there? The one paragraph is about how we both try to put others first. The next paragraph is about how we can both be stubborn sometimes. Well, being stubborn isn't exactly putting others first. It's putting yourself first. So what did I do to transition? That first sentence of the second paragraph referenced back to the paragraph before it. That's what's called a transition. Just like if you were taking somebody around, you're not instantly there. You have to move them someplace. If I'm getting from one highway to another highway, I'm not expecting to have to go upstairs. It should be a smooth transition. If you ever find yourself in a car on stairs, stop. You're not supposed to be there. I promise. Okay? So, don't overcomplicate this. You are trying to get your point across to people, and you're trying to do it as smoothly, as clearly, and with as much evidence as possible. That's it. You're going to get to work on these during Writer's Workshop tomorrow. But I wanted to make sure you had this firm understanding that we talked about today before you moved on. Don't forget that your homework is to write a thesis statement for your compare essay and a thesis statement for your contrast essay. That's what you're coming in prepared with tomorrow. You've already done your pre-writing, so you should be able to just get right to work on that drafting concept. Your rough drafts are due Monday. We're going to have a peer review session. Guys, we are cooking. We are cooking. We're going to practice all of this technical stuff that we've been learning so we can apply it and actually really learn something this year. Learn how to really read, how to really write, instead of just me. Right? There's so much more to it than that. But we can't experience it until we know how it all works. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Have a safe day. Go Sabres.